thought we'd kind of talk about some of the tech trends that we've seen, kind of more of the consumer-facing tech trends. Obviously, there's things like autonomous vehicles and artificial intelligence and whatever. We're going to talk a lot about that next week during the holiday episodes as we take a look back and forward as far as those tech trends are concerned. But I was kind of thinking more like consumer technology. We see all these things kind of popping up, and I just thought of another one that I can add to the list.
Do it. More the merrier.
Okay, yes. And I don't know, like, if they have the power to last for a long time or if they're just flash in the pan, like, oh, that's neat, but whatever.
Okay, I love it.
Right.
I love hot or not, and I love technology, so let's do it.
All right, so first things first, Ron Richards, what do you think? Virtual reality, augmented reality had a big year this year. It's not new technology. It's been around for a while, but this is the year that it really kind of opened its eyes a little bit more. Do you think going in the next 2-3 years, do you think this is going to be a hot topic?
Hot. I give it 100% hot. I think that we're just seeing the fuse be lit on VR and AR, and as more and more people get exposure, more and more people get some sort of VR in their homes. We saw the success of Pokemon Go with AR. We're going to continue to see that kind of get pushed. I think this is on the upswing on both topics.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I've gotten really into and very excited about VR as we've gone through the year. Maybe less so about mobile, but like I said on All About Android a few days ago, I think that's purely because my eyes have been spoiled and my experience has been spoiled by the higher kind of the higher cost systems. But I think in the gaming world, I don't know how you appeal to gamers any more than making it even more immersive for them to live inside the experience that they're in.
I still haven't seen the gaming kind of experience that I want to see, which is I've often talked about on our other show, which is like the movie Her. Where it's the projector that encompasses the room, and as opposed to putting on a visor and going into a space, it makes your game your environment the space, and that's more AR kind of, I guess. I haven't really seen anybody really playing in with that, which I think with projector technology and things like that you could do. We've seen a couple of little things. There've been a couple of things here and there which has a projector which like puts out to your living room, kind of makes the walls look different and stuff like that. I think we're going to see neater stuff like that. But I think Facebook is putting everything behind Oculus and VR. I think they're gonna push that boulder up the hill a lot more next year. And then we just see how I think the Sony PlayStation VR is going to be a huge gateway drug for a lot of people too as well.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. PlayStation VR with the Batman Arkham as kind of like the stepping stone, like that opens your eyes to the possibilities, and it's really transformative. Wearables and fitness trackers. We talked about the kind of rocky year that wearables have had. However, fitness trackers still kind of a category that has its diehards. What do you think?
Not cold. This is cooling off. We're seeing the normalization of wearables. I don't think wearables are going to go away. I think Apple will continue to have a watch. I think Android Wear will continue to plug along, but it is no way taking over the world like we thought it would be like 2 or 3 years ago. I think the demise of Pebble is kind of a big hit to the innovation in the space, and you're going to see consolidation and normalization amongst wearables where it's just another thing. It's just another thing that you can buy at Best Buy.
I mean, it's already kind of gotten there too, right? Like Google's news a couple of days ago that they're going to be releasing a couple of Android Wear devices with OEM support next year, and so many of the articles were like, really? That's what they're spending their time on? And people are already rolling their eyes hard at the idea of like new wearables in the space. It's kind of, that train is already left to a certain degree. So,
but I do think wearables will continue to progress in the normal space. I mean, like we talked about on All About Android, the Fossil Q has been heavily advertised in major metropolitan cities as just a Fossil watch that has Android Wear on it, not as a smart, so I think it's going to still kick around, but it's not going to change our lives.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. Touchscreen PCs. I mean, we saw, I don't know if you've had the chance to like get your hands on or see up close and personal the Surface Studio or the new Surface computers, but I mean, it's really for creatives, really compelling. What did you think?
Yep. I'll give this one a warm. Not quite hot, but not quite not. I think this is
not or not.
No, warm. It's a warm feeling.
Okay.
I do think I really like the Surface Studio. I haven't got a chance to play with it yet. I actually over the break I'm planning on going to one of those Microsoft stores. I want to see if they have it there. But I love the dial, the kind of thing that can go over the screen and to allow for precision settings and color values and things like that. I think Microsoft is doing some very, very interesting thing with the Surface Studio, and I'll be curious to see if other manufacturers pick up and follow. If is what Microsoft doing an aberration or a trend.
Right.
And I think next year we'll find out, and then it might become hot. But right now, it's just kind of keep an eye on it. But we're definitely moving into a touch society. I mean, we've got a generation of kids who I just heard a story last night that public education is having an issue with elementary school kids that don't know how to use a mouse because they're so used to phones and tablets. You know, and that they actually need to do education with kids on how to use a mouse and how to click in order to take tests. So I think we're moving towards a touch society. It's just what form does it take? And yeah, there's the little dial thing on the Microsoft thing. That's so cool. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is what I feel like I was predicting, and obviously too early to the game a couple of years ago, where I was just like, kids are growing up with these touch screens. Like the paradigm is going to be touch, and everything else is going to be dated. And a lot of people were saying, "Oh, that's crazy talk," and I think maybe then it was, but now they're starting. I mean, just more and more that is the case. And so these crossover converging kind of technologies are going to help with that. I would love to see this trend continue because I think there's a lot of potential there. And I actually like having a touchscreen. I have one on the Google Pixel that I have right here. So,
very cool.
Okay, so then kind of related, touch bars. MacBook Pros didn't quite go full touchscreen. They went touch bar. Is this something people really care about for the next couple of years?
Well, I can't speak for the general public, but for me, this is as hot as it gets. I love that touch bar. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Did you see the guy who programmed Lemmings to go across it?
No, I've seen Pac-Man, but I haven't seen Lemmings. But that sounds perfect.
The guy did Lemmings. It's out there. But I don't know. I remember, 10 years ago, talking with Kevin Rose and stuff about OLED and the future of it and OLED keyboards and all this sort of stuff. And I feel like we've been waiting for this. I love the idea of a OLED keyboard that is customized to the application you're working on. And I think the touch bar is the first step in that direction. Yeah. And I think we're going to get to a point where keyboards are you're using Final Cut Pro or Premiere, and the keys completely change to what works for an editing suite. And, I'm working in Audacity, and that will completely change to what works in an audio suite. And I'm a writer, and it will change to a writing keyboard. I think that's so cool. And the touchscreen is just the beginning of it. So I'm very excited. I did get to play with the MacBook, despite the battery life, per Consumer Reports, but I did get to play with the new MacBook with the touch bar, and it exceeded my expectations. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, you put it that way. I think I was hesitant to go hot on this until you described it, because I do see a future where the keys are all kind of like that, and they can be programmed or changed depending on the context. So if the touch bar is the kind of way that you get there, then I'm all about it.
Yeah, and I've heard people when I've talked about the future of the keyboard and the interface object, people are like, well, then the whole bottom of the screen is just going to be another tablet screen, and what's the point? And I don't think it needs to be. I think you can still make a OLED keyboard that's got physical squares of keys, and the what displayed on those keys changes. Like that's right. Where I'm excited about seeing it going. I don't necessarily want another screen just that is going to become customizable, because you still need that. I still think you need that tactile reference of this is a key and this is where it exists in the beginning and the end of it. Yeah. And I think if anybody can figure this out, Apple will, because they're clearly starting that innovation. So
I think I know the answer to this one already. IoT, Internet of Things. What do you think?
Hot. Just the fire getting started. I love it. I think
burning every time you talk to your Google Home. That fire's burning.
I'm telling you, man. I mean, I used it at a party last night in my apartment, and watching people for the first time interact with it and be delighted. It's that the thing about good technology is good technology delights. It's almost like a Disney-esque to it, where it's magical. It makes a Christmas wreath out of lights. It answers the question with a funny answer. It gives you the information you're looking for very easily. And I think that we're now on. I mean, a year plus of the Amazon Echo, which just continues to get, that Amazon hockey puck, the tap is a great device. A friend of mine put one in every one of his rooms in his apartment. Like, it's a low cost. It's a great entry point. I think Google Home is a great starting point. The Google Assistant is going to be so powerful. And these are the things that I keep talking about normalization. And I think that's what next year is going to be, because Google Home and Amazon Alexa or Amazon Echo is going to help normalize the idea of smart devices and bring the rest of the people, the general public, to this idea of all your devices are talking and that's how you interact with them. And I think it's super exciting. I love it. I love what's being done with home automation and with every little device, whether it's a Nest thermostat or Samsung Smart Things with smart outlets and all that sort of stuff. I think it's so cool. And it becomes like a real life Lego set.
Yeah, it really does. That's a really great way to put it, because once you have the infrastructure to support like a nice hub or whatever, and then you realize all these little things, they're like $35, they're $40. They're not like break the bank expensive. And so you can add all of these little conveniences to your life for not very much money, and slowly over time you build great capability into your home. So I agree. IoT, I think, is going to continue to be a big deal. Yep. Let's see here. I think I know this one too. 3D printing. We may the sun is set on 3D printing at this point, or at least close to, right?
I don't know if the sun is set. I feel as if
I don't mean it's going away forever. I just mean like it's had its prime time.
I feel like the vanity, but the uniqueness of 3D printer has the shine is worn off.
Yeah.
But for the maker community, it's vital now. Like, I mean, I've seen it alone in, as anybody who follows me or knows me knows I'm an avid pinball player. There are pinball manufacturers who are making stuff for new pinball machines with 3D printers, like making little kind of toys and things like that go on the playfield with 3D printers. Like, wow. 3D printers are enabling a level of creativity and production that we've never had before, but not every home needs one yet. And I think there might be a day where that happens, but the printers have to improve to the point where you don't have to let it sit for 36 hours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And finally, this is the one that I added in, bezel-less screens. We've seen a little bit of this year. There's rumors that Apple's getting on this train. What do you think?
I mean, I think you and I differ on this, but I think bezel-less screens are the future, man. They're totally the future.
Really? I mean, I think they're cool. Like, I know you like them because of the sci-fi aspect. Yes. This is what sci-fi portends.
Yep. And that's ultimately where I want to see technology go, is towards that Star Trek science fiction future. Yeah. And I think that a bezel-less screen, we need to see the glass and the interfaces evolve along with it. But I really think bezel-less is the way to go. And we're going to look back at phones with bezels and be like, look how silly they look. So,
as long as there isn't a fragility that comes along with them, because I'm just not willing to like make my phone even more fragile. Like glass on the front and back seemed like a great idea, and sure, it made a phone look really great until that one time you set it down just slightly too hard on that hard tabletop or worse, and then you realize, okay, yeah, but this is really fragile. It looks cool, but I just don't know.
Listen, all I know is that in Star Trek 4, Scotty talked about transparent aluminum.
All right.
And once we crack that formula for transparent aluminum, I think we'll be that step closer to a phone that doesn't fall apart.
So what you're saying is that's all we have to do. All we have to do is what you just said. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Great. I love it. I love that segment. We should definitely check in on that again next year and see how we did.